I'm with my friend Elaine Williams on International Podcast Day. So, for those of you that don't know, September 30th is International Podcast Day, and it is really just a day to celebrate the community of podcasting, the impact that podcasting has on all of us, and how this medium of podcasting has grown exponentially over the last few years. So, I thought nothing better than getting on Zoom and live on YouTube with a fellow podcaster to talk all things podcasting. Thank you for being here with me, Elaine.
Thank you for having me, Julie. You know, I'm a big fan, and I'm so grateful because I love podcasts. I'm a lifelong learner, and I also love music. Sometimes I'm like, Elaine, you need to listen to some music. You need to lighten up and dance for a minute, honey. But to me, podcasts are such a joy because, you know, let's face it, I'm 57. So much of life, there's repetitive stuff you got to do. Laundry, your car, gas, errands, right? And sometimes it's actually dangerous to be speaking on the phone when you're, and so I love listening to podcasts. I feel uplifted, inspired. I'm always trying to learn about history so I can understand why we are where we are. And, I have several businesses and I'm caregiving. And so I don't have as much time to read as I would like. And so I just, ever since podcasts came around, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. If I feel like I need a lift, I'll listen to one. If I feel like I'm in the mood, I'll noodle on some history stuff. There's just so many great things. And then the podcast community is really what really sealed the deal for me. I went to PodFest and I thought, these people are so cool and down to earth and real. And there were people who were dying and they were like, I just want to give and share my story until I go. And I was like,
yeah, that is the power of podcasting, right? And even though we're doing video right now, really podcasting started as that audio only. And there is a really personal connection when someone chooses to play you on their car stereo or put your voice in their ears and in headphones. And even though video is blowing up too, it's still that connection. Like you're connecting with the host and a guest, whatever the situation may be. And you really get to know people on this very personal level through podcasting that I don't even think I expected when I first started. And now so many of my guests I call friends, even though we've only ever met virtually. And it's such a crazy way to connect with people all over the world, but also connect with your people. I mean, I feel like I've done that with my pet podcast, and it's going to have its own YouTube channel later today, which I'm very excited about. But also in podcasting, like you mentioned, the community. I mean, that's how you and I met, was at PodFest 2024. And now you can't get rid of me.
And we got to go to Disney World twice.
Yes, that's our bonus part. But it's so funny because when we went to PodFest again this year in January, I realized really what it is. It's a family reunion. It's all of these people that I have connected with through podcasting, whether it's in communities I'm a part of, like PodFest or other memberships, or I've been a guest on their show, or they've been a guest on my show, or we've gone to the same networking event, and we live all over the place, sometimes all over the world, but nothing beats meeting people in person. There's that power of connection when you get to hang out together in person.
Yes, I think of it as belly to belly. And another thing, I got to go to Fest, and then I also got to go to Podcast Movement and heard some brilliant stuff and ran into people. And one of the things they were talking about, that the best way to still become discoverable is short form video. And I always do this because some people are going to go to LinkedIn, some people Facebook. So short form video is still the best way for people to discover you. And a lot of times once people discover you, they switch back to audio so that they can listen to you while they're doing their things. And it makes me think of those road trips. Or pillow talk. They say, when does a couple really talk? Pillow talk. Then it's in the night, And then when have you gone on a road trip with somebody? There's such a bubble of intimacy and an opportunity to go deep and share. And, I love going deep. I'm a comedian, but I'm also very deep, and small talk freaks me out.
Right? I hate that kind of stuff too.
What makes your heart sing? What are you yearning for? What did you overcome? Like,
Right.
I've been that person since I was a little kid. I'd be like, "What's your dream? Why aren't you doing it?" And they'd be like, "Okay, get her away from me." One conversation can change your life.
Absolutely.
And isn't that why we're here?
Yep. And
Like,
it's so funny you were talking about that because I've said it recently in a couple guest interviews or even my own podcast where I'm like, you would have told me 5 years ago I have a podcast, let alone that on these podcasts I've shared some of the most deep personal stories of myself. My pet podcast, I talked about losing my first foster kitten and how he passed away in my hands and how hard that was. And it was healing for me to share the story and kind of let go. And on my own podcast, I've shared some of my really big struggles with my health and things I've gone through my life of losing pieces of myself to my health journey. And I never probably would have ever done that if I hadn't got into podcasting. There's such a power in stepping in front of the mic and it being your platform. You get to choose what you talk about and how you share it and how you create it and all of that. You get to choose what guests you have on your show and what you talk about with them. And there's so much power in that. And I think especially as women, so many of us are owning that power because we've never had it in other places to be able to speak our mind or share our truth or tell that story that we never thought we would, but somebody out there needs to hear it.
oh, I love it. Yes. Yes, it's so great. And so, whether I would say if you're already listening to podcasts, yay. And it's great to explore some new ones. And if there is a yearning, I'm a huge fan. Call Julie because she's going to help you launch. And she's very affordable. Don't die with that song in your heart.
Right.
One of the top 5 regrets of people on their deathbed is that they did not follow their heart. They did not live the life that they knew they were meant to. They lived it to please other people. And, as a recovering people pleaser, I have a lot of compassion. There's no judgment. But, that's one of my missions is to help heal the world with love and laughter, one joke, one story, one video at a time. And just to help people reclaim that self-expression that we all have. When we were little, we were like, I want this, that.
So funny. I recently shared a photo. I was going through old photos for my mom's birthday, and I found one of me in one of my dance outfits, and I've got my,
I love that picture of you.
I had a signature move. It was a hip thing. And I just I posted it and said, at what point do we give that little girl part of ourselves up? No, I'm still that girl. And I hid it for a long time. My old career, that's not how you showed up. You had business attire and all of that. But now I can have all this stuff behind me and show up as myself because that's what makes me happy. But also because someone else out there needs to hear it and needs to be reminded. And it's so funny you talked about the deathbed thing because a lot of what comes up for me in podcasting is legacy. For so many of us, our podcast isn't just about business or, making money or having clients. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about helping other people leave legacies, right? It's about sharing our story, putting ourselves out there in a way that we really can't do in other ways. With podcasts, once someone finds it, they know to go back there every day or every week or every month and listen. And there's so much power in that. And I think so many more people need to own that power and really step into it. And that's why we had Pitch Fest just a little while ago. I decided since it was International Podcast Day, I would host a live Pitch Fest.
It was amazing. Julie was great.
We had 10 women show up live and pitch themselves as guests. And there was such a variety in what people talk about and their stories. I think we also saw this string of similarity in everything people were saying, the stories they're sharing, how they help people get out of their heads, get over overwhelmness, or step into more confidence, and all these things that everybody kind of shared in different perspectives. It was really interesting to kind of see that line kind of weave through everybody as they spoke about what they do and what they talk about as a podcast guest. What do you think, Elaine?
Yeah, I was very inspired. And I took copious notes and I was like, oh, I want her and her and her on my podcast and I want to be on their podcast. One of the things as a coach, I'm a speaker coach, a speaker, short form video expert, as well as a podcast host and comedian. And so many times I help women tap back into their power. And so many times one of the blocks is, oh, well, everybody knows that. Or, well, Elaine, you have a good story. And I do. I have some great stories. And people need to hear your story because nobody does it like you. And I'm a middle-aged white lady. So, not everybody's going to be able to relate to me. Right. And so if you have that yearning and then you have the ego or identity going, oh, no, that's dangerous. Don't be vulnerable. I encourage people, like, you never know. Your story could be somebody else's lifeline. And you just never know how sharing something can be the exact thing somebody needed to hear. And, I'll just share, like, I was traveling in Portugal with my partner at the time, and we had a big kerfuffle. And I was feeling, I hadn't slept. I was very emotional. I was feeling very and I'm in recovery. And luckily, I was like, okay, I can't get, we're driving in Portugal, the door open, but I was like, I can listen to a podcast. And I want to crush. And it really helped me calm down and get grounded and decide to stay and continue the trip, And there's a podcast that they play about recovery that's in all the prisons. And even the people who are in solitary confinement. And I'm not condoning any of, crime, but so many people who are in prison, they're Black and brown, they didn't have money, or a lot of times they do stuff when they're under the influence. And then unfortunately, for whatever reason, they're in solitary confinement, which I think is inhumane, but I'm not going to take that battle on. But to be able to be that life, what do you call it? The life ring. Whatever you call those things.
Life raft.
Life raft. You just never know. That's so powerful. And those people are saving lives. And it's human to connect and feel seen and connected. And so I'm clearly passionate. And at some point, I'll probably have 5 podcasts if I know me. But right now, I just have the one. But you just never know. And our job is...
Who needs to hear from you? Who needs to hear some little thing you're going to say that's going to resonate? And I know as a woman, there's so many podcasts I listen to for a laugh or for inspiration, for a happy story, but also hearing what they're going through with menopause or hearing what they're going through with mental health. Those are the ones where I hear someone else say their struggle and how they're getting through. It's okay, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. The world is literally insane right now, and it can be overwhelming to even go on social media. I think podcasts are that life raft or that place where you can go and you feel safe because you get to know the host, you get to know the people talking to you, you get to know the people through their stories. And so if nothing else, this is your signal to whoever seeing this to keep doing it. If you're already doing it, to put yourself out there as a guest, to do it more, to create the podcast you've been thinking about, because it's never going to be perfect and ready. You have to start. We both learn by doing. We put ourselves out there and realize this is good, this isn't, I'm going to change that. That's the power of podcasting. You can change tomorrow your topic, your cover, your title. It's all about getting started and figuring it out where you need to be in the world, right? And so where Elaine needs to be in the world is helping people with being a speaker, being more confident on camera. So Elaine, tell everybody about your podcast.
Oh, well, thank you, Julie. So my podcast is Captivate the Mic. I did another one a few years ago during COVID called Still Human that's still out there. Great life coach hacking tip. So I wanted to make one about the power of speaking, whether you're on camera or speaking in front of live people or even podcast guesting. And I wanted it to be fun and entertaining and also giving tips. I have had some amazing people to interview on my podcast. And then I also give little tips. Every once in a while, it's just going to stay on its own. But I want people to walk away listening and like, oh, that was really great. Or you know what? I'm going to go write that down right now. The power of the pause. I forgot. And so it's called Captivate the Mic. Please subscribe, rate, and review, because that's how it gets pushed out to other things. I've had some amazing speakers on there, like Peter Samuelson, who is a 27-time Hollywood producer who now just does philanthropy. He has 7 charities. And when I was listening to his book in preparation, I kept crying because he's one of the most inspiring human beings I've ever had the privilege of knowing. I need to get you to come be on my podcast, Julia.
And we'll do that at some point.
It's not about being perfect.
Yep.
My father passed away a few months ago. So I have not been totally consistent. Right. If you've started a podcast and you want to get back to it, like, it's okay. Just get back in there. It's not, nothing is perfect. And Julie and I are both queens of like imperfect action, because, you can sit and try to steer a car if it's in park, or you can get going and then you might have to do a U-turn or a left turn, but it's going to be way easier to steer if you're actually like moving.
Like, why is it moving? Oh, I guess I should take the brake off. I think, and so many of us, especially women, I think we get in our head, we talk ourselves out of things. Nobody cares. Nobody needs to hear it. And even in podcasting, like, I put stuff out and is anyone listening? Is this resonating? You just don't always know, but you have to keep doing it because there's a reason you're doing it. There's a reason Elaine is doing her podcast, and she's connecting with these amazing people because she's a vessel to kind of share that for people. And, my podcast, I started it a year and a half ago, put out 5 episodes and paused it for over a year because I wasn't clear on what my business direction was and what I was doing and what I wanted to share. And that's okay. That's what you get to do. You get to make those decisions. And the story of my pet, which I've had for 3.5 years, gets paused all the time because it's my passion project, but it's not directly a part of my business. People still listen. Like, it's charting on 8 different countries right now, and I haven't put a new episode out in 2 months. But that's because I've done it and I've kept doing it, and people who enjoy it are coming back and new people are discovering it. So you just never know. No, I don't have tens of thousands of downloads, but I know people are listening every day, and that makes it worth it. If you've been waiting to get started, whatever it is, speaking, guesting, podcasting, this is your sign from Elaine and I. Do it. And if you need a community to support you, come check out my Women's Podcaster Party networking community. We meet every month, free networking events. And I also have a paid membership where I do pitch fests, where you get to practice pitching yourself as a guest. You get to come to workshops and live group coaching and all of
join.
And because really what I found my purpose is supporting other women like Elaine and myself to just do it and to learn as you go and to grow and to share your story because somebody needs to hear it. So I think that's the best message to have on International Podcast Day is share your story. Somebody needs to hear it now. Thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate your support, but also just your energy. You always bring me up when I'm down, and so hopefully somebody else is getting uplifted by us right now.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye, everybody.